Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Johnny Davis Live. We're here on this June the 6th, 2025, and that's right, we have it today with the one and the only James Bone Crusher Smith. He was a former world champion boxer, and he's going to be here chatting with us a little bit today about that extraordinary career that he had and all the great things that he has going on right now and what the future holds as well. So I think you should try to buckle in and get ready for a great show here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of good information for a lot of you fighters out there who might be thinking about you want to get in the ring. Maybe so, maybe not. We're going to find out. We're going to have this opinion on a lot of different things. Again, really quick though, I just want to remind everyone before we bring him up about our IKF World Classic that's coming up in Las Vegas, Nevada on July 18th through the 20th, guys. It's going to be at the Westgate Casino. It's going to be a great event. We have 3 super fights confirmed, along with a bunch of other fights that's going to be going on that weekend, July 18th through the 20th at the Westgate Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, the fight capital of the world. Get registered right now at IKFFightPlatform.com. It's going to be a great weekend. Also, while we're doing the interview, I'm just going to be running a couple of things across the screen. You guys can check that out and go from there. But I don't want to leave this man just waiting around, listen to all my jibber jabber. Without any further ado, guys, we're going to bring up the one and the only James Bone Crusher Smith.
Hello, Johnny.
What's happening?
How you doing, man?
I am doing fine, sir. Thanks so much for taking a moment to come on the show today. I really appreciate it. We kind of met here and there in different locations and all, and I said, you know what? I want to definitely have him on the show to chat a little bit and all, and just see exactly where his head is. And it's really an honor actually to have you on the show today because you've done a lot for the sport of boxing. I'm not always sure that you always get your just due, right? And so I want to make sure that I can contribute, right, to making sure that you, the man, get your just due as we chat here a little bit today. So for some of you people who might not know, James Bone Crusher Smith has a long history of boxing, but if you stick around, you'll be able to see it. You can type in his name. You can probably go on Wikipedia and all of that. You can find out as we talk. We won't get through everything today, obviously, but we are going to have a pretty detailed conversation with a man who's been in this sport, who's dedicated his life to the sport of boxing. And I'm telling you right now, I believe with everything that's in me that you guys are going to have a lot of great information today. Mr. Smith, how are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Johnny?
I am doing just fine, Tell us a little bit about what's going on today with you and how is life for you after the sport of boxing?
Well, I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and with my wife Doreen, and I created the Boxing Legends Hall of Fame, and we're trying to do fundraisers to raise money to build a museum in Myrtle Beach. So we want to have
Mm.
a museum in Myrtle Beach, and that's what we're working on. We just every year we bring some boxing champions into Myrtle Beach. This year we brought Juan Laporte from Puerto Rico
Oh,
and his
wow.
wife, and we brought Michael Spinks in with his wife, and we had a great time a couple of weeks ago, and had the House of Blues. I do it in conjunction with my golf tournament, so we had the
Right.
golf tournament that morning, Saturday morning, and then that evening we were at the House of Blues doing the boxing dinner and induction.
Oh, wow, wow, that's pretty big time. I like to hear that. Well, I'm going to dive back a little bit, and go into the psychic of a man who's done it all. First, I want to ask you, what about boxing that appealed to you so much? Because you were an athlete. I think you were in the military as well. But what about boxing that made you want to punch somebody in the face?
Well, I was I went to school, college first, and then between junior college and college at Shaw University, uh, one Saturday afternoon, evening, over my shoulder, I could hear a voice. I am the greatest, and we all know who that was. And so I started doing some what ifs. I mean, as far as I knew, this guy, Muhammad Ali, hadn't graduated from college, and I started doing some what ifs. I said, if I got my degree from Shaw University, which I did in business, and then somehow or another I could start boxing, which I joined the army and did that, and then somehow or another, if I could win the title, and I did that, so I could become the first college grad to become heavyweight champion of the world. So just on a whim like that, I just put it in my mind, and I started working at it, and we made it all happen. Uh, December the 12th, 1986, first round knockout of Terrible Tim Witherspoon, a guy that had beat me the year before.
Right, right. Well, let me ask you a question before we go into that area. Did you actually set a goal to become a world champion? It sounds like you did. And how important is it to set goals like that and to actually be disciplined enough to actually achieve it?
Well, it requires a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, a lot of work.
Mhm. Right.
My work was running, and then in the gym, I did my work. Only worked a couple of hours a day though, but it was intense. I hired a six-time world champion, Emo Griffith. He had won the title 6 times, so
Yeah, yes,
I listened
yes.
to
I met
him,
him.
and he said if I listened to him, I could become champion. I listened to him, and I became champion.
Wow, wow. Yes, yes. I got the opportunity to meet him down at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, many, many years ago, many moons ago. He was training a lot of fellas there. So one thing that you said was about discipline, right? Give me the mindset of what it takes, though, right, to be disciplined. Tell me what a lot of people do not understand what discipline really is and what it actually takes. So, how would you define discipline?
Well, I got a late start. I was 28 when I had my first pro fight.
Oh,
Sugar Ray Leonard and George Foreman retired at 28, but they made
right,
comebacks. They made comebacks,
right, right,
but that's late starting, and I knew that I had to focus on what I was doing and not break my training. So I pretty much stayed in shape all the time, and that was the discipline part. I had to watch what I ate and then make sure I did my running and make sure I went to the gym. So all that's part of discipline.
right. And again, what do you think the main thing is of why a lot of people don't make it?
They don't want to.
Is it really more about desire, or maybe not willing to make the sacrifice?
If you want to do it, you'll find a way, and if you don't want to do it, you'll find a way. You like
Got
that
it, got it.
one? Is that right?
So anything is possible.
You'll
Is that the
find a way. You'll find a way to do it.
question? When you went in and actually won that world title, what did that do for your spirit?
Well, to make a dream come true, I mean, to work and work and work and then make it all come true. And then the way I did it, I was suing the great promoter, Don King, because he had promised me a title fight and he didn't give it. So I got me another promoter and we started suing each other. And he calls me up. He gives me a 7 day notice to fight for Tim Witherspoon, his guy. And I took care of it. HBO, Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
I mean, it was perfect for me.
Right, 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 right. I mean, the quick money, and going in there doing your thing. Now, one of the things I noticed about, some of the fights that you had that uh, I don't know if this is true, but right now I see a man who's smiley. Since I've known you, smiley. You seem pretty nice. You seem pretty gentle. But back then, if I remember correctly, you had a little bit of an edge on you. You
And at
almost like you
72,
were angry, and you would like
and
stretch your
at,
eyes, like
and at age 72, if things don't go exactly right, I mean, I could be talked into something right now today.
Hey, so So what you're saying is that you did have an edge or do have an edge.
Yes.
Do you think that's important for a fighter though to be able to know the levels and know when to say when?
Yes, not only a fighter, but a businessman or anything. I mean, you have to know what you're doing, and then you just don't take no mess. You get to a point, you just, Papa don't take no mess.
Right, right, right. Well, like when I was a fighter, a lot of people always thought just because when I walked in the room because I was a fighter, they were saying that, thinking that I'm ready to punch somebody in the face at any minute. I'm like, no, that's not the way that works. But you have guys like maybe Mike Tyson in his earlier years. He was kind of like that. So understanding the gauge between turning it on and turning it off, there is a switch. Do you
Yes.
recognize that switch?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
And
often when you were in the ring, you were definitely turning on that switch.
oh yeah, yes. And when I walk around with my civilian clothes on, I mean, I'm one of the nicest people that,
Right,
and you probably are too, that a person could ever meet. But then there's a point that you can take a person, and you just go beyond that point.
right, right, for sure. Well, when you were trying to move up in the ranks, what were some of your biggest fears? Because when I was training, I was always every day thinking about, I guess my fear was not making it. My fear was not getting that opportunity. That's me. And what was your biggest fear when you were actually in training and visualizing the potential or the possibility of you actually becoming or getting that opportunity to fight?
Well, I had a close relationship with Jesus Christ, and I still do. And I prayed a lot, and I just asked God for direction, and He still give me direction today.
That is interesting. Now, I'm a different kind of person than I used to be. I'm a little bit more of a spiritual person and all that. But when I was actually fighting, I was a little bit more on that edge, on that side of the thing too. I was, and more into the Christianity and more into, the praying thing, and certainly that was a source of energy. It still is to some degree, right? A source of energy, to have that faith and all of that to help you train. But after you've accomplished those goals, you've been able to maintain that belief in that and all, and actually became a preacher at some point. Tell me a little bit about what was that transition and why did you feel that you need to become an actual ordained preacher?
Well, life on earth is short. If we live to be 100, it's still short compared to eternity. And we're going to spend eternity somewhere. And I just want to spend eternity with Jesus Christ. And I want to spend the life here on earth speaking and talking to Jesus Christ and asking him questions and doing things that he wants me to do. So I'll be ready when the time comes.
And I think that's important. And like I said, on Johnny Davis Live, Real Talk, Real Solutions, I talk about anything on this show. When you talk about your religion and what you believe, if I were to ask you a hypothetical question, perhaps not hypothetical, it could be actually reality. What would be one of the things you would pray for, or you most pray for about this country?
Uh, well, I would pray that uh, parents would raise their children.
Mm,
And I think one of the issues today is parents really don't spend enough time with their children and then raising them and make sure they go the right way. And I'm proud to say that I had both of my parents, and a lot of times now children grow up in single parent homes and they don't really experience the things that they should balance life really, and there's something missing pretty much all throughout their life if that's the case.
right. Yes. It's having that. Sometimes though, people do try to make that out of as an excuse as well, right? That my dad wasn't around, my mom wasn't around, or whatever the case, and they use it as an excuse. What would you say to someone who doesn't have that mom or dad in their life that the possibilities are still there? What would be your words of encouragement?
Well, I mean, we live in the land of opportunity. America is the land of opportunity. So I think once you make a decision on what you want to do, you can pretty much do pretty much what you want to do in America.
Just period. Just put in the work ethic and it's there. Have the
Yeah,
work ethic and
yeah.
it's there. A little bit more back into the boxing really quick. I kind of bounce around a little bit. Who would you say was your toughest opponent?
My ex-wife.
Did she knock you out, man? Did she KO
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I can kind of earn that. So let me rephrase that.
In the ring,
Who do you think was your toughest opponent in the ring?
Mike Tyson.
He was your toughest opponent.
Yeah.
Tell me, why was he your toughest opponent?
Well, I'm 6'4", and Mike is 5'10", 5'11". So a lot of my shots went over his head, and he was ducking down, and he was young. He was 21 when I fought him, and knocking people out. And he had the news media, had the media behind him, and saying he was invincible, couldn't be beat, and the media really worked on his opponents, psychologically.
Did it work on you?
I think it worked on me too. I mean, but I was able to hang in there and hold on to him and do some things that I had to do it all over again. I think I could probably knock him out.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you actually think that you actually gave the remedy to eventually beat him?
I showed Buster Douglas and the guys that had beat him what how to do, and they put it in motion. They did it.
I believe that. I believe that, because people are like, oh, he's bone hugger and all these different names they were talking about. But those people actually do not know how fierce Mike Tyson. That tells me that they don't really know boxing. The man was knocking out everybody in the first round.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was crazy. Nobody was hardly going the distance with this guy. It was a fearful time for people in boxing, right? The whole
right,
world saw this man as the baddest man on the planet, right? And then all of a sudden, here comes James Smith, who comes up there and says, okay, well, I don't want to be one of his victims. Held him a little bit, but you were also getting some shots in along the
right.
way. And I think people don't give you enough credit. I was looking at some of your past fights that you had. You were knocking out a lot of people early in your career. Before you fought Mike Tyson, what do you have, like 32 knockouts?
Something like that.
I mean, listen, I had 32 fights in my whole career, and I knocked out only 13. Okay, all right. The bottom line is that I believe someone was writing when they said this about you, that you were one of the most underrated heavyweight champions of all times. How do you feel about that comment?
Well, it's probably true. People really didn't expect me to do the things I did, and really, I just made a decision that I was going to do them, whether they believed I was going to do them or not. The main thing was me believing I was going to do them.
Right, right. So when you finished up with Tyson, you had some other interesting fights. Give me just a little bit of a run after you fought Tyson. Who some of the names that you fought?
Well, Larry Holmes was my second. I mean, that was my last fight. I
Oh,
fought Joe Bugner in Australia. I had some fights in Germany. So basically, I've been all over the world, hitting people in the head and getting hit in my head, and now I'm ready to go back. And you and I are going to do some business with this the deal that we're working on, and
yes, sir.
we're just going to make it a reality all over again. Let's do it again, brother.
Absolutely right. But here's the thing: you talk about being punched in the head. But what I hear, and I've been punched in the head, and I can talk. But I hear the same thing in you. You're articulate, you're smooth, everything still. A lot of people think that when you are a fighter, right, it's almost like, everybody come out punch drunk. There are some fighters like that who come out a little punchy. I don't see that in you. How do you think with some of those big wars that you were in, why do you think you kind of came out pretty good?
Well, I think I was a man when I fought, and I was stronger, and
Oh,
my body was stronger, and I was able to withstand the physical aspects of fighting,
you
as
know what?
opposed as opposed of being young, and you're not as strong, and so you had and there's then over a lot of those guys that started out young, they still fight a long time. they probably fight twice as long as I did, because they
You,
started out when they was 15 or
you know
18 or something.
what? Do you
What?
know what? I
What?
have never thought about that in my life.
But it's something to
I
think
have
about,
never
right?
thought about the fact. Wait a minute. I got to go in. I got to go in that a little bit. The fact that you started fighting a little later in your life, you did
I
not
was a
go through
man
all of that hard sparring and stuff like that that some of those guys do in the gym early in their lives.
over the years. Over the years. So they picked up a lot of wounds and injuries over the years that I never picked up.
That is so interesting to me. And
It
I've
make
always
it
thought
makes
about that.
sense, right?
Huh? Yeah,
It makes
that's
sense.
that's very wow. You know what? I'm like, woo, that's a aha moment. No, really. For me, that is an aha moment. Now, in the organization that I run, I with the semi-contact idea for point boxing, the point boxing sparring circuit that we do, and we're going to be working together. Uh, that whole concept is there based on what you just said, and you and I didn't have this conversation about this, but that
Mm-mm.
whole concept is there because it's sparring. It's not in there trying to knock each other out. They're not hitting hard all the time. You know what I'm saying? So that whole concept really fits directly into your entire career and why you kind of came out pretty good the way you are now.
Thank you, Johnny.
That is no, thank you. Because that right there gives me a whole nother element of promotion. Hey, it
it
gives
gave
me a
us
whole
it
nother
gave
element
us
of
another
promotion.
element of promotion.
Say what now?
It gave us.
Yes, yes, because that will be something that I think that we can certainly, use, going, down the road and doing what we're going to do with the PBSC. And so when kind of want to talk a little bit about after you're fighting and now you have a mentorship program. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's called Champion for Kids, and it is a mentoring program. And I encourage kids to make good decisions, even though they get mad. I wrote a book. I'm an author as well. Mad, make a decision. And I
Ah,
encourage kids to make a good decision, even though they get mad. So a lot of times when people get mad, they do some wild, crazy things. They might shoot somebody or cut somebody or do some crazy things, but you can get mad. I got mad and became the heavyweight champion of the world.
ah. So you're saying use your madness, if you will, constructively.
And it gives you, madness give you extra energy too, because you don't even think about it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me kind of veer off that just for a moment. When you were getting ready to knock, when you had somebody hurt, did you get more angry to try to knock them out, or was it something else?
Yeah, it was the first part. I wanted to get it over with before somebody get hurt. I didn't want that somebody to be me.
Right. So that's definitely putting that anger in the right place,
Yes.
right? To be able, and that's constructive anger, if you want to call it that. There's
Yeah.
constructive anger, right? And I think a lot more people, could definitely benefit for that. But in this champion for kids, which is really intriguing, right? I actually put it up on the screen there for people. It's a nonprofit organization. People would like to donate to it. He's doing some great things. Tell me about some of the programs that you are doing or some of the things you've done to help out kids in need.
Well, I we have a scholarship program. We have a mentoring program where we actually visit middle schools and high schools and just pretty much share my story how I went from a sharecropper's son on a farm, just started running. I mean, I was kind of like Forrest Gump. I used to run everywhere, and I'm having some issues with my feet and legs now. So, but because of that, but I just kept running until I got to where I was trying to get to, and which was the heavyweight championship of the world, and it made it all come true.
Right. When you talk about after boxing, some of the things, the injuries and things that you have. Again, your brain is fine, but what about the rest of you? What about other parts of
Well,
you?
I've had
Do you feel like it was from boxing?
yeah, running and stuff. I've had 3 knee replacements, one on the left and 2 on the right. I've had foot surgery, ankle surgery, brain surgery. I mean, I've had a lot of surgeries, man, and it's the wear and tear of boxing.
Oh, okay, okay. So you have had a brain bleed or something like that before for
Yeah.
surgery?
When I turned 60, Johnny, I went in the gym one day and the guy that owned the gym, a young guy, and he asked to work out, spar with me. I said, "Nah, man, you don't want to spar with me." I said, I'm the first guy to take Mike Tyson's wherever. You don't want to spar with me." So he said, "Yes, I do. I want to spar with you." So I got in the ring with him at 60 years old, and he hit me with something, Johnny, and I wake up in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they did emergency surgery on my head. I mean, you can see the scar up there now. And I almost died 3 times, Johnny. So
What?
normally when I spar, work out, I go to the gym, I go to the house, and I take a shower, lay down. Had I done that day, I'd have died. I'd have
Right.
died in my sleep. And
So, mhm.
um, so I almost died there. And then they take me to the hospital. They do emergency surgery, correct the bleed on my brain. And the doctor told me the administrators that they had told me what the bill was, almost $1 million, and I didn't have no any insurance,
Wow.
and so I almost died again, Johnny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the guy uh, that handles that particular program, he said, "Don't worry about it." Says we had a program, so you're not gonna owe us anything. And say, "Do you?" He brought something back into my memory. He said, "Do you remember when you came to our church? You spoke to the kids at our church, and I didn't forget about it." He said, "I didn't forget about that." I said, "I'm gonna look out for you on this one. So
Wow.
you looked out for our kids. I'm gonna look out for you." So
Oh,
about
wow,
2 weeks
wow.
later, I'm home relaxing. Go to the mailbox, and I get a letter in the mail says, "You don't owe us anything. You paid in full." Almost a
What?
million dollars, Johnny. God had taken care of it. So I
Oh
almost
my
died
God.
again, Johnny. One, two,
Aha.
three.
So when we're talking about resurrection, we know what we're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
So that brings me up with another question though. Older people competing or fighting. What do you think about that? Because we're looking at some things, down the road, but we're talking about semi-contact. But what do you think about older guys like Mike Tyson and what he's been doing here lately? What do you think about that whole idea for boxing? Maybe with someone his age might have been a little bit better, but what do you think about what he did?
I think, uh, I think it was good. I mean, he made a lot of money, and then
Yes.
he may have made a lot of money on the back end, but not knocking that guy out. So I think he still could have knocked Jake Paul out if he wanted to. So
Do, do you think he actually gave his best in there?
no,
He was holding back, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think so too because I was having a fit, right? No, in fact, because I do a lot of bag work and stuff. I do
Yeah,
bags, so I was showing people on the bag. I was saying, listen, if I can do all these combos, da 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 da, on the bag, I can do it on you.
yeah, yeah,
Believe me, I can do it on you. So I think he was definitely holding back,
yeah,
and I don't know completely why. Because yeah, you don't want to really if you have agreed not to knock each other out, okay, fine. But people want to see a little bit more. They paid money, right? They want to
yeah.
see a little bit more. Otherwise, they could have just been in my PBSC tournaments,
Right.
right? Right?
That's right.
Right?
That's it.
Right? Hey, look,
We might
hey,
want to try to
James.
get him on your tournament in our tournament.
Exactly. So this is what I say to people. I tell people all the time. I say all they did was the PBSC. All right.
Yeah,
They, they
yeah,
they had on bigger gloves. right? And they
Yeah.
agreed not to knock each other out, right?
Right.
So, hey, if they can do it at that level, we certainly can do it at this level and maybe eventually on that level, right? Which is something totally different. But look, he's done well. Again, make the money. Again, I've heard him say that he's not so worried about his legacy and all of that stuff because he's gone out there and he's done a lot of good stuff already for the sport. And all he still, he has some money invested in other things as well. So I think overall he's done, pretty good. And so we can take that. Let's talk a little bit about before we wind down here
Okay.
about the PBSC and the concept that I've explained to you, right, about what it is in the semi-contact idea. Thinking about the fact that it's no knockouts, it's on a mat, you're wearing big gloves and all that. What do you think that would have done for you if you were had that type of program when you were coming up? Even though you were 28, I mean, still you could have started in something like that. Do you think that would have been more beneficial for you?
Well, I don't know if I actually would have had time to do all that. I I was on kind of a fast track, and they called me up and offered me a fight. I take the fight. I mean, short notice, whatever. I take the fight. 'Cause I stayed in shape all the time.
Were you
I
were
don't
you
know if
work,
I don't know if the program here would actually work for me
were,
because I
were,
was on
were
such
you
a fast
working?
pace.
Were you working a normal job?
Yes, when I first started.
So basically, what you're telling me is that when you decided to do professional boxing, it was for the money.
Yes, and legacy too. And I set it all up like that. I mean, I was worked toward. I set the goal, and I worked towards the goal.
Right.
I made the plan. The plan. I worked the plan and planned the work.
If you could do it all over again, would you?
I would start out at 18
So if you
instead
could
of
do it all
instead,
over again, you would just start earlier.
yes, instead of 28. I would start and maybe retire at 28.
like the other guys. But
Yeah.
look how well preserved you are overall. Like you said, I know you have some injuries, and things. And listen, the sport is brutal. Let me go back really quick. You talked about some of the injuries on your legs. I'm going to ask you a question. When you were jogging, you said see, I listen really closely to what people say, right? You said you used to run.
Yes.
Were you one of those guys? Because back in the old days, they used to run in Bogaine boots.
Yeah.
They
I
would put on those boots.
I have run in the boots before.
That messes up your knees.
Yeah.
That kills your knees. And today we have all kind of exorbitant kind of support and foam in your shoes. Your shoes almost run for you. These days. But all of that probably could have had something to do with it. Would you advise a young person today to take up the sport of boxing for a career?
If he's gonna be serious about it, yes. But boxing, you can get hurt if you don't be serious. Yeah. Yeah. Take it
What
serious.
was some of your greatest moment was probably winning the world title. Would we say that?
Yes.
What would you say one of your lowest moments?
Losing to Mike Tyson.
Why do you think that was one? Because you made probably some decent money,
Yeah.
right? Why do you think that was but you were on a winning streak then, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that was one of your lowest moments when ultimately it became a big part of your legacy? Some people see it as negative, but I see it as positive, right? Because I know the energy, I knew the environment that what you did was great and literally great, right? So why do you see it as one of your lowest?
Because I'm better than that. I could have fought a different fight, but hindsight is always 2020. So looking back, you can always make a decision like that and just say something like that. But when you're going through the heat of the battle, you had to do what you had to do.
When you saw Buster Douglas knock out Mike Tyson, did you say, "I knew it could be done"? What? I can only imagine. I can only imagine you in your house. Tell me what did you feel? What did you say?
Yeah, well, he just boxed him, and really, my style is not like Buster's style. My style is more of a puncher. and Buster boxed him beautifully. He moved side to side, and he moved away, and he tied him up too. And he just fought a perfect fight. And then fighting in Tokyo, I think that helped too. And his mom had passed. He just put it all together.
It was just just all the planets just lined up.
Yes, sir.
Do you stay in touch with some of these people today?
Yeah, well, I bring some of the guys into Myrtle Beach, to my Hall of Fame event. We're looking at May 1st and 2nd in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We love to do a fight on Friday night fight, May 1st, 2026.
Well, let's. I
Thanks,
would love to
Johnny.
see can I be a part of that, and
Yes,
maybe see
thanks,
can we
Johnny.
help
We're going to do it together, man.
see, can we make that happen? Let's see, can we make that happen? Because I
Yeah.
think that we have a journey ahead of us. That something's going to be great, along with my VP of Operations, Mr. Rafael Mendoza. We are, growing the PBSC across the country. We actually have another arm of that we're actually going to expand more into what you're talking about for that event as well. And I think it's something that is going to be great for the. It's already great. It's already the largest and the most productive sparring boxing point sparring boxing organization in the country. What do you think about the state of boxing right now? We got a lot of celebrity stuff going on. I think you had the hardcore, Canelo and the upcoming fight with Crawford, those type of fights. So we have the real, then we have the celebrity. What is your opinion about the entire state of boxing right now?
I think it's seen better days. Uh, guys fight every so often. I mean, they don't fight regular. I mean, there is a period of my life in my boxing career. I actually fought twice in a week.
In 1 week?
Yeah, now guys they do good and they fight twice a year.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Well, they're making out, but they're also making millions of dollars.
yeah, hundreds of millions sometimes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. If you want to talk about Floyd Mayweather and Conor, and this is after his fighting career,
Yes.
right? And stuff like that. So, do you think that fighters find it difficult to assimilate back into society, to go work a normal job after they are done with their career? Let me just quickly say this: that I know I did. I had a problem working a 9 to 5, right? I had a problem going and punching the clock. I loved that thrill of victory out there and fight, even though I couldn't fight anymore, ideally speaking. Trying to find your place after your career. Have you found that difficult? And what do you think that is all about?
Um, Mindset. You get in your brain that you want to do it a certain way, and it's hard for you to for a person to accept anything else. And but you know, by starting the Hall of Fame, it relates to boxing, and now we're looking at promotions, which is boxing. So it helps me. It would help me continue doing the things that I've been doing.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is find another purpose,
Right,
something like something that you can wake up to, that inspires you, and even if it is or is not in the sport of boxing, if you're in the sport, you're still giving back, right? And,
right.
and and do you think that that is your energy? That is the thing that's making you, wake up every morning as a purpose, because
If
now you're giving back, and now we plan to even give back more.
if it has an appeal to you, and if you love it, it's not work. It's not a job.
You're absolutely right. Well, you've given a lot to the sport, and will continue to give a lot. And I just got a feeling there's a lot more good things coming from Mr. James Bonecrusher Smith. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I want to, as we wind down, as I said, to tell me, because I often think about this when about my legacy and how I want to be remembered at the end of the day. Now, we're going to have you back on the show again somewhere in the future, I'm sure. But how would you want people to remember you? And I can almost say, what would you want on your headstone? I know what I would want on mine, Fort March. Right? I would tell people that Fort March, right? Because that's my saying. Everybody knows that. Fort March and everything you do, right? That's might be my saying. So my honey, so when you see this, just remember put Fort March on my headstone. It won't be my head, it won't be a headstone in an urn. Whatever. What would you say would be your moniker and or how you would want on your headstone and how you would want to be remembered for your legacy?
Well, while I was here, I created I was a big part of history. I was the first in a lot of categories. Uh, when I won the title, I became the first college grad to become heavyweight champion of the world.
Wow.
I became the first heavyweight to win the title at Madison Square Garden. And then when I fought Tyson, I became the first heavyweight to take Mike Tyson 12 rounds when he was a fighter, not a biter.
Ah, right. When he was a fighter, not a fighter. Sorry about that, Mike. Right. We'll have to get Mike on here one of these days. We'll have a
Yeah,
conversation with him and
yeah.
stuff. But but I think that's very honorable because you have a lot of first and to have a dream as a kid. Well, you were not a kid when you were dreaming about fighting, but I was. I was 12 years old. But to have a dream and accomplish that dream, even though you might not accomplish everything you wanted, you did accomplish being a world champion, but you're also a world champion human being. And the fact that you have an organization, a nonprofit organization that is making champions out of kids, what is your message to them for those kids who are out there who are striving to try to be their best, to try to do their best? They're up against drugs, they're up against street gangs, they're up against not feeling confident, they're up against suicide, they're up against all of these things. What can you tell them from a champion about having a champion mentality?
Uh, to respect themselves and respect
Mm.
older folks, your parents, because people really uh, they look at a person and if they don't respect themselves, it's hard to have respect for them. And then understand that whether it's a marriage or whatever it is, a job or whatever it is, it's not always going to be perfect. Some days it's just some days it just don't work out right, but it's not you don't throw it away because it don't work out right. So you just have to work at it. It's a job. It's you have to work at it. It just had to work. It boiled down to work, and that's why a lot of people don't make it because they don't want to work at it.
Right, right. Well, I think those words are so important. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the PBSC organization, Raphael and I, and doing some great things in Myrtle Beach. I will tell everybody, look forward to some upcoming dates for the PBSC over in the Myrtle Beach area. Obviously, we have our East Coast Classic coming up in October, but even before then, we're going to plan, see can we get something going on and all and put on our first event. Anybody knows me, I just don't talk, I walk. When I say I want to do something, I want to do it. I'm looking forward to working with Mr. James Smith because I think he is the kind of person that we're looking for across the country, by the way. And if there's other people out there that are interested in joining the PBSC Point Boxing Sparring Circuit, certainly reach out to us. You can go to our website, pointboxing.com, and find out more information. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks once again, and give it up for the one and the only James Bone Crusher Smith. Thank you, sir, for
Thank
being
you,
on. We'll
John.
talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All
Uh,
right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right there for yourself, Mr. James Bone Crusher Smith. What a great dude. I've enjoyed talking with him and talking with his wife, and two great people doing great things. And the fact that they're coming on board with the PBSC Point Boxing Sparring Circuit, I think it's going to be great news for a lot of people. You guys be sure to look for some upcoming events in the Myrtle Beach area. Get your hands on. That's what I'll say. Get those hands on because it's going to be a lot of fun. You know how we do it in the PBSC. All right, guys. So I got a couple more things that we have going for you. And particularly, like I said, the IKF World Classic is certainly coming up in July at the West Gate Casino. I want you to definitely get ready for that. It's going to be a great event. We have, like I said, three super fights that are now confirmed, including, as I mentioned the other day, about Creighton and it's Eli and Mr. Flores, all those fighters. I can't get all their names off the top of my head right now, but we also have confirmed. Tyler Jones and Mr. Do I want to say Zach Fox? I better look at that's not Zach Fox. I got to go look at the names right here. But that fight we've been working on for a minute there is also confirmed. So it's going to be a great day, a great weekend of great fights and all. And so I want you guys to make sure that if you can, try to get out to Las Vegas and check out the fights at the Westgate Casino. Is going to be something I think that's going to be really good for people. Tickets are on sale now on the IKF Fight platform for the weekend and all. And I want you to make sure that you come out and check out that event. Also on our pay-per-view, you can check it out. If you can't be on the scene, be on the screen. Check it out at akplive.com. akplive.com is going to be for the live streaming and all, and you'll be able to check out all of the great fights and exactly what is going on. I'm looking at this name right here. I wanted to pause just for a second here because I have so many things right here on my desk that I wanted to bring out. But Mr. John Herney, and I'm trying to get the fight off the top of my head. I should have had it right in front of me. But this is going to be a great fight with Jack Kerr is his name, and Mr. Tyler Jones out of Florida. I am telling you right now, Jack is an undefeated fighter. Look, this is what's so interesting. Both of the fighters are undefeated. They're both 10-0, right? So it is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's also going to be a 7-round fight, right? So these guys are going to actually be going at it. For more rounds, just as well as Gianni and Weeks are going to be going at it 7-round fight, right? And then you got the little kids there, Davison and Flores. They're going to be doing their thing, obviously, in a 5-round fight, right? The ICAF World Classic, it's a great event. It's something that you are going to want to be there. We got lights, we have food, we have, I like to say, adult beverages, right? And all of that. There's going to be at that event. We're going to bring it like Las Vegas brings it, right? Beautiful ring is all lit up and all the food and stuff like that. We also have the Muay Thai and Kickboxing sparring that's going to be going on that Friday, July the 18th, right? And also normally we would do that on Saturday. But now we're going to do it on Friday. So for you guys who want to do the PKB, PMT sparring, you'll be able to come on that Friday, and you're going to be able to check out this thing, man, and have a great time on the sparring on Friday. But then all the full contact fights are going to be happening on Saturday and Sunday. Right now, thankfully, we've now gotten over 200 competitors. We have probably, I'm thinking, reached 250, 270, whatever, which is great for us. In fact, we start getting into the zone where we have to limit the competition because we only have 2 rings. We have 3 shows planned. You can only get so many fights into those 3 shows, right? So I would tell you, go ahead and get registered ASAP and all for both the semi-contact and the full contact and be a part of one of the greatest events, right, in the country. Right now, truthfully, I believe in everything in my soul that the IKF World Classic is one of the best tournaments around. No, we don't have it like some of the tournaments, like thousands of competitors and things like that. And frankly, we're not trying to do it like that, right? We want to do it to a point where you can come out and you can have a great time. Now, I actually had an even bigger announcement, but frankly, I don't know if I can do it yet. I'm going to mess with you guys just for a second, right? I'm going to, I can do it. I can do it. I just saw it now. It's already been announced. So now I can say it before I talk about this final thing about the stretching contest. So you guys know that I have been working with the IKF with the stand-up fight series over in Missouri. In fact, Chad Mueller, started out with us. He's still with us, obviously. He does a great job at promoting. As you know, that he just recently had a sold-out event there in Missouri. And he's just a fantastic human being, number one. He works hard. He has a great work ethic and all. And, I love the guy. He and his family, they're awesome people and everything. But what we have coming up right now, we started about 4 or 5 years ago. We started with our PKB sparring events. Each one of those events was successful. He now has 2 clubs over there. But this next move and having these excellent fights, sellout fights, great fights, we've done the 9-round thing and all of that. But this move right here is the next move that I love. I love it because Chad drank the Kool-Aid. Let me break that down for you. I'm a dreamer. And I talk about all the things that can be accomplished if you follow this certain program and process. I talk about how we want to eventually have some of the biggest fights. We were waiting on one championship to come, but there's no need of waiting on one. We want to create our own one. We want to go to the next level. We want fighters to make more money and all that, but we realize there's some things that we have to change in the sport to make it happen. And Chad Mueller, St. Charles, Missouri, has followed that process. And now he is taking it to the next level. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate Mr. Chad Mueller for bringing one of the biggest fights in IKF history almost in many, many years, I would say. That the great Muay Thai fighter, Lordzilla, is going to be fighting in this country, in St. Charles, Missouri, on September 6th, right on a stand-up fight series sanctioned by the IKF. What? That is huge. That is huge because everyone knows who this man is who in the sport of Muay Thai. And the fact that he is going to be fighting on a card that we built from the ground up only 4 or 5 years ago is absolutely phenomenal. I want you guys to understand how big this is. The fighter who's taking him on, Mr. Jason Somche, right? He trains with Asa Tempao. And we know Asa Tempao's bad. This guy is a very good fighter. He's out of Florida. Asa Tempao's fought for all the major organizations. So you know to accept a fight like this with the great Lordzilla, this guy is coming to win, right? He is coming to win. He's coming to probably build his legacy off Lordzilla. Guess what? It's also going to be on akplive.com, all right? It's going to be on pay-per-view on our live streaming network, akplive.com, as all of Chad Mueller's fights have been. This is a reason to get excited about our sport. Who knows what the undercard is going to look like, right? That's going to be absolutely fantastic as well. September 6th is going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day for our sport. And it's going to be the start of something even bigger. Watch it, right? More to come. Congratulations again, Mr. Chad Mueller, Stand Up Fight Series, one of our IKF promoters there in St. Charles, Missouri, for landing such a great and momentous fight. Lordzilla versus Somchai. We'll talk to you soon, guys. That is going to be awesome. Before I go, one more thing here. I want to run out to you. I'm excited about that. That is going to be just what? Next level stuff. I told you guys, we're trying to do it different. And if you follow the right game plan, you can accomplish things like this as well. I promise you, you can, but you just got to follow a program. Jumping around from here to there and yonder and all of that, it's very difficult to reach your goals. Chad has been loyal and committed to the process, and now he's doing big things for the sport and everything. And again, I'm very, very proud. All right, before I go, guys, I've been talking about this for a few weeks. And so there's the over 50 stretching contest, right? So I've been thinking about it, and I looked at a couple of the entries and everything, right? And those who submitted, we didn't have a lot of people submit. I guess there's a lot of stiff people over 50. I'm just guessing. Perhaps there's a lot of stiff people over 50, right? But you know what? I think that I've chosen a winner. I think he came out, he did his thing. Now I did get one, but he didn't post it on the page like I asked him to do. So he's a great job, really flexible. At this point, I got to give it up to Mr. Pierce. Pierce again. I think he won it before. This guy's 63, 64 years old. He does the splits. It's just kind of like what I'm doing there, but he's actually doing it straight out, right? Right. I should have pulled his picture. And so I'm going to give him the first place award, where he's going to win a $25 Starbucks card and a pair of IKF gloves. Excuse me, not gloves, hand wraps. IKF hand wraps. Pierce Bestiani, right? Congratulations again to you, sir, and all that. You are a great example for so many people over the age of 50. And in fact, like I said, you're in your 60s, you still got like a six pack and everything. I'm so jealous of your abs. Every time I see them, it makes me sick, right? You great. But there are some other people like that who also submitted and everything. They did a great job, but I'm certainly very proud of Pierce for doing this thing, and I'll get his information and everything, and make sure I get his awards and everything to him. Again, Pierce Bisiani, I think he's out of San Jose, California, if I'm not mistaken. He kind of bounces around. I'm not sure if he bounces around. I just know that's when I knew him, when he was over in that area. All righty, guys. I tell you, this has been a very interesting show. I want to thank again my guest today, my special guest, Mr. James Bone Crusher Smith, for being on the show. And again, we're looking forward to working with him, in the future with our PBSC program. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say. Ronnie Davis